Rich but empty inside, he's been living without hope since he lost the woman he loved. Until a street girl crosses his path holding a necklace that belonged to her. From that unlikely encounter, he decides to find her and ask about the necklace. "This necklace was a gift from my mom," the girl says. Now he must fight for her as if he's saving his own soul. If you love a good story, please subscribe to our channel and tell us where you're from. Stay tuned. Chapter 1. The Butterfly Pendant. The New York winter was particularly harsh that year, but Nathan Reed barely noticed the biting cold as he sat in his Bentley, waiting for the light to change. The heated leather seats and climate control created a perfect bubble of comfort around him, much like the rest of his meticulously crafted life. Through the tinted windows, he watched people hurrying along Fifth Avenue, bundled against the cold, their faces pinched with purpose or worry. At 45, Nathan had achieved everything society deemed valuable. As CEO of Reed Innovations, one of the country's leading tech companies, he commanded respect in boardrooms and headlines in business magazines. His penthouse apartment overlooked Central Park, his investments yielded consistent returns, and his influence extended from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. By all external measures, he was the embodiment of success. Yet inside, where it mattered, Nathan felt hollow. The emptiness had taken root 3 years ago when Elizabeth, his Lizzie, left this world after a sudden illness. The vibrant woman who had filled their home with laughter and challenged his workaholic tendencies with spontaneous adventures was gone, leaving behind only memories and a silence that grew louder with each passing day. "Sir," his driver's voice came through the intercom. "The board meeting is in 20 minutes. "Thank you, James," Nathan replied automatically, his eyes still fixed on the street outside. The light changed, and the car moved forward, joining the flow of traffic. Nathan returned to reviewing quarterly projections on his tablet, numbers that once excited him, but now merely occupied his mind, preventing it from wandering to places too painful to visit. The car slowed again at another red light, this time near Bryant Park. Nathan glanced up, his attention caught by movement near his window. Street vendors were common in this area, selling everything from hot dogs to knock-off designer bags. But it was a small figure that drew his gaze, a girl no more than 12, weaving between stopped cars with a plastic bag of candy bars slung over her shoulder. She was clearly underdressed for the weather, her thin jacket offering little protection against the February chill. Dark hair escaped from beneath a worn beanie, and her cheeks were reddened by the cold. Despite her circumstances, she moved with determination, approaching drivers with a rehearsed smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Nathan would have looked away. He'd trained himself to compartmentalize the city's inequalities, but something stopped him. As the girl turned, a ray of winter sunlight caught on something hanging from her neck, a pendant, a very specific pendant. His breath caught sharply. The butterfly-shaped jewelry with its distinctive blue stone at the center was unmistakable. Nathan knew every curve, every detail of that piece. He had commissioned it himself from a jeweler in Paris for Lizzie's 35th birthday. It was one of a kind, designed to capture her free spirit and love of blue morpho butterflies, a fascination born during their honeymoon in Costa Rica, and it should have been buried with her. "James, stop the car," Nathan ordered, his voice tight. "Sir, we have the meeting. Stop the car now." The driver pulled over, and before the vehicle had fully stopped, Nathan was already pushing the door open. The cold air hit him like a physical blow as he stepped onto the sidewalk, but he barely registered it. His eyes scanned frantically for the girl who had moved further down the block. "Wait," he called out, but his voice was lost in the cacophony of the city. He began to walk quickly, then jog, weaving between pedestrians who shot him irritated glances. His cashmere coat flapped open, his Italian leather shoes splashed through slush puddles, but Nathan noticed none of it. He was focused entirely on the small figure now turning the corner. By the time he reached the intersection, he was breathing hard, partly from exertion, partly from the adrenaline coursing through his system. He spotted her halfway down the next block, approaching a businessman who waved her away without looking up from his phone. "Excuse me," Nathan called out, louder this time. The girl turned, instinctively stepping back when she saw a well-dressed man approaching rapidly. Her eyes darted around, calculating escape routes with the wariness of someone who had learned to be cautious of strangers, especially those showing unusual interest. "That necklace," Nathan said, pointing to the butterfly pendant visible above, her jacket zipper. "Where did you get it?" She clutched the candy bag tighter. "I'm not stealing anything, I'm just selling these." "No, I don't care about the candy," Nathan said, trying to soften his tone, despite his internal turmoil. "I'm asking about your necklace, the butterfly." Her hand instinctively went to the pendant, covering it protectively. "It's mine." "I know that design. It's very unique. Could you tell me where you got it?" The girl studied him suspiciously. "Why do you care?" Nathan hesitated. How could he explain that seeing this piece of jewelry, this intimate connection to Lizzie, had shattered his carefully maintained composure? That the possibility of someone taking it from her final resting place filled him with both rage and despair. "It's important to me," he said simply. "I knew someone who had one exactly like it." Something in his voice must have conveyed his sincerity, because the girl's posture relaxed slightly. "It was my mum's," she said. "She gave it to me before she had to go away." The answer knocked the wind from Nathan's lungs. This wasn't what he had expected. Not theft or a bizarre coincidence, but a story with emotional weight. "Your mother," he repeated. "What was her name?" The girl hesitated again, the street-smart caution returning to her eyes. "Why should I tell you anything? You're just some rich guy who stopped his fancy car." She wasn't wrong. Nathan realized how this must appear to her, how he must appear. He took a step back, trying to gather his thoughts. "My name is Nathan Reed," he said, reaching slowly into his pocket and withdrawing a business card. I think there might be a connection between us, between that necklace and someone I cared about deeply." The girl didn't take the card. "My mom's name was Eliza Williams," she said finally. "And this is the only thing I have left of her, so no, you can't buy it or whatever you're thinking." Eliza Williams, not Elizabeth Reed. But Lizzie had gone by Eliza before they met. She'd mentioned changing it when she moved to New York from Ohio, wanting a fresh start. The coincidence was too specific to dismiss. "I'm not trying to take it from you," Nathan assured her, "but I would like to talk more, maybe over hot chocolate." He gestured to a cafe across the street. "It's warm in there, and you look cold." But Ami's girl, whose name he still didn't know, seemed to be weighing her options. Finally, hunger or curiosity won out. "Fine," she said, "but I'm sitting by the window where everyone can see us, and I'm not going anywhere else with you." "That's perfectly fair," Nathan agreed, feeling a strange mixture of relief and trepidation. As they crossed the street together, separated by a careful distance maintained by the girl, Nathan's phone began to vibrate in his pocket. The board meeting. For the first time in his career, he would miss it entirely, and for the first time since Lizzie's passing, something felt more important than the company. The cafe was warm and smelled of coffee and pastries. Nathan chose a table directly in front of the large window, as promised. The girl slid into the chair opposite him, keeping her bag close and her eyes alert. "I'm Lily," she said finally. "Lily Williams." "It's nice to meet you, Lily," Nathan replied, trying to keep his voice steady despite the storm of questions raging inside him. As the waitress approached their table, Nathan couldn't help but stare at the butterfly pendant gleaming against Lily's worn jacket. The same unique design he had watched the jeweler craft by hand. The same pendant that had made Lizzie's eyes light up when she opened the velvet box on her birthday. The pendant that, according to everything he knew, should not be hanging around this young girl's neck. Chapter 2. Traces of the Past in the HKC. Cafe. Lily wrapped her hands around a mug of hot chocolate topped with whipped cream and chocolate shavings. Nathan watched her take small, measured sips, as if rationing the warmth and sweetness. Her eyes, a striking shade of blue-gray, remained cautious but curious. "So why do you care about my necklace?" she asked bluntly, cutting through the awkward silence. Nathan considered his words carefully. I designed that pendant for someone very special to me. My wife, Elizabeth. It was custom made by a jeweler in Paris. There shouldn't be another one like it anywhere in the world. Lily's hand went instinctively to the butterfly pendant. Well, I didn't steal it, if that's what you're thinking. I'm not accusing you of anything, Nathan assured her. I'm just confused and interested in understanding how it came to you. Like I said, it was my mum's. She told me my dad gave it to her, but I never knew him. Lily's eyes narrowed. Wait, are you saying you knew my mom? The question hung in the air, loaded with implications Nathan wasn't prepared to address. Had Elizabeth, his Lizzie, known this girl, been connected to her somehow? I'm not sure, he said honestly. You mentioned your mother's name was Eliza Williams. Can you tell me more about her? Lily shifted uncomfortably. She worked as a nurse at Mount Sinai Hospital. We lived in Queens until I was 8. Then she got sick and things got hard. Her voice became flat, the practiced tone of someone reciting facts rather than reliving memories. She passed away 4 years ago. I've been living with my Aunt June since then, but she's not really my aunt, just my mum's friend. Nathan did the mental math. 4 years ago would have been a year before he met Elizabeth. I'm very sorry about your mother, he said, and meant it. Do you have a photograph of her? Lily hesitated, then reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small worn wallet. From inside she extracted a folded photograph and smoothed it out on the table. The image showed a smiling woman with dark hair sitting on a park bench, her arm around a younger Lily. Nathan felt the blood drain from his face. The woman in the photo was undeniably Elizabeth, his Elizabeth, though with longer hair than when he'd known her. The similarities were too striking to be a coincidence. The same gentle smile, the same dimple in her left cheek, the same elegant hands. Is something wrong? Lily asked, noticing his reaction. She looks familiar, Nathan managed, his voice strained. When was this taken? About 5 years ago in Central Park. It was before she got really sick. Lily reclaimed the photo, folding it carefully and returning it to her wallet. So did you know her or not? Nathan's mind raced. If Elizabeth was indeed Eliza Williams, if she had been this girl's mother, why had she never mentioned having a daughter? They had shared everything, or so he had believed. They had even discussed having children of their own someday. I think I might have, he said cautiously. But I knew her as Elizabeth Reed. She was my wife. Lily stared at him, disbelief and confusion crossing her face. That's impossible. My mum wasn't married when she died, and her last name was Williams, not Reed. When did you say she passed away? Exactly? April 2018, Lily replied without hesitation. The date was clearly etched in her memory. Nathan felt a chill run through him. That was precisely a year before he met Elizabeth at a charity gala in May 2019. She had introduced herself as Elizabeth Bennett then, a literary joke she'd been fond of, before revealing her real last name was Taylor. When they married in 2020, she had become Elizabeth Reed. Had her entire identity been constructed? And if so, why? Lily, he said gently, I think there's more to this story than either of us knows. The woman I married passed away 3 years ago in 2022. Her name was Elizabeth Reed, formerly Elizabeth Taylor, but before that, he trailed off, uncertain how to proceed without overwhelming the girl. You're lying, Lily said flatly, pushing her chair back. My mum died, I was there, I saw her. Her voice cracked slightly. This is some kind of weird scam. I'm leaving. Wait, Nathan said quickly, pulling out his phone. Let me show you something. He found a photo of himself and Elizabeth at their wedding and turned the screen toward Lily. The girl's eyes widened and the color drained from her face. That's my mum, she whispered. But that's impossible. She couldn't have been married to you. She was gone. I was at her funeral. Lily's voice rose slightly, drawing glances from nearby tables. I don't understand it either, Nathan admitted. But that pendant you're wearing, I watched the jeweler make it. I gave it to her on her 35th birthday. She was buried with it, or so I thought. Lily's hand clutched the butterfly pendant, her knuckles whitening. She gave it to me the day before she went into the hospital for the last time. She said as long as I had it, she'd always be with me. The sincerity in Lily's voice made Nathan's chest ache. Whatever was happening, this girl believed her truth as completely as he believed his. "Lily, I know this is confusing and probably scary," he said softly, "but I think we need to figure this out together. There's a connection here that neither of us understands, but it involves someone we both cared about deeply." Lily stared at him for a long moment, then at the photograph on his phone, her young face processing implications beyond her years. "June might know something," she said finally. "She was Mom's best friend. She took me in after—" She swallowed. "Hard. After everything. Would it be possible for me to speak with her?" Lily considered this. "She works a lot. Double shifts at the diner, but she's home tonight. Would you be comfortable introducing me? I promise I'm not trying to disrupt your life, but I need to understand what happened." After a long pause, Lily nodded reluctantly. "But if you're some kind of creep, June has a baseball bat and knows how to use it." Despite the gravity of the situation, Nathan found himself smiling slightly. Noted. As they left the cafe, Nathan texted his assistant to cancel all his appointments for the day, ignoring the flurry of concerned responses. The board could wait. The quarterly projections could wait. For the first time in years, something had broken through the carefully constructed walls around his heart. A mystery that connected him to Elizabeth in a way he hadn't anticipated. The subway ride to Queens was a study in contrasts. Nathan, in his tailored suit and cashmere coat, sat beside Lily in her worn jacket and scuffed boots. Other passengers occasionally glanced at them, clearly wondering about their unlikely pairing. Nathan himself wondered what he was doing, following a young stranger, based on a piece of jewelry and a photograph. But the alternative, walking away never knowing, was unthinkable. Lily's neighborhood in Queens was a far cry from Nathan's Upper East Side penthouse. The apartment building was an aging brick structure with a security door that had seen better days. Inside, the hallway smelled of cooking and disinfectant. "We're on the 3rd floor," Lily said, leading the way up the stairs. "The elevator's broken more than it works." Apartment 3C was small but tidy. Mismatched furniture filled the living room, and family photos lined the walls, many featuring Lily and the woman Nathan now knew had lived 2 separate lives. "June," Lily called out, "I'm home, and, there's someone with me." A woman emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She was in her early 50s, with graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and the tired eyes of someone who worked too hard for too little. "Lily, you know you're supposed to call. If you're bringing—" Her voice trailed off as she took in Nathan's appearance. Her expression shifted from confusion to shock, and then, most surprisingly, to recognition. "You," she said softly. "You're him." Nathan felt a jolt of surprise. "You know who I am?" June's eyes darted to Lily, then back to Nathan. "Lily, honey, go to your room for a bit. This grown-up needs to talk to me." But June, "Now, please." Reluctantly, Lily retreated to her room, casting a suspicious glance over her shoulder before closing the door. Once they were alone, June sank into an armchair, suddenly looking even more tired. "I always wondered if this day would come. Though I figured it would be because you were looking for her, not because you stumbled across Lily by accident." "How you knew about me? About Elizabeth and me?" June nodded slowly. "She told me everything near the end, when she knew she wouldn't have much time left." She looked up at Nathan, her eyes sad but direct. "But I think you'd better sit down, Mr. Reed. This story isn't a short one, and it's going to change everything you thought you knew about your wife." Nathan lowered himself onto the couch, feeling as though the floor beneath him had suddenly become unstable. He was about to learn truths that had been hidden from him throughout his marriage, truths about the woman he had loved, mourned, and thought he had known completely. "Start from the beginning," he said quietly. "Please, I need to understand." June took a deep breath, clasping her hands in her lap. Eliza Williams didn't die in 2018, she began, but in many ways, that was the day she stopped existing and Elizabeth Taylor was born. Chapter 3. The Truth Unravels. June's living room felt increasingly smaller as Nathan leaned forward, hanging on her every word. Outside, the Queen's neighborhood settled into evening routines, distant sirens, the rumble of the elevated train, neighbors' voices filtering through thin walls, but inside apartment 3C, time seemed suspended. Eliza was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma in early 2018, June began, her fingers nervously twisting the dish towel. The prognosis was grim. 6 months, maybe less. She was a single mother with a young daughter, and medical bills piling up faster than she could possibly manage on a nurse's salary. Nathan listened intently, trying to reconcile this story with the vibrant, seemingly healthy woman he had met in 2019. She was desperate, June continued. The treatments were experimental, prohibitively expensive, and not covered by insurance. She needed money, a lot of it, and she needed it quickly. Why didn't she reach out for help? There are foundations, charities. June gave him a weary, "Look, Mr. Reed, I don't know what world you live in, but in ours those resources are overwhelmed. The wait lists are long, the funding limited." Eliza was watching her time run out while drowning in paperwork and rejections. Nathan fell silent, chastened by the reality check. That's when she met Victoria Blackwood. Who? A patient at Mount Sinai. Wealthy, powerful, with connections everywhere. Victoria had been admitted for routine surgery but developed complications. Eliza was her nurse. They bonded, and when Victoria learned about Eliza's situation, she made an offer. June paused, seeming to weigh her words carefully. Victoria was the CEO of Phoenix Enterprises, a company specializing in corporate identity reconstruction. Usually they worked with executives who needed to disappear, men and women who had embezzled millions or were escaping scandals. But Victoria saw an opportunity in Eliza's situation. What kind of opportunity? Nathan asked. A sense of dread. Building. A chance to start over. Victoria offered to fake Eliza's passing, create a new identity for her, and fund her medical treatment at a private clinic. In exchange, Eliza would work for Phoenix afterward, using her medical background to help the company with certain ethical gray areas. Nathan's mind raced, piecing together implications. So Eliza, faked her own passing, left her daughter behind, and reinvented herself. June's eyes flashed with sudden anger. It wasn't that simple. The plan was never for Lily to believe her mother was gone permanently. Victoria promised that once Eliza was healthy again, Lily would be told the truth and brought into her new life. But things got complicated. Complicated how? The treatment worked better than anyone expected. After a year, Eliza was in remission. But by then, she was deep into her new identity as Elizabeth Taylor. Victoria had set her up with an apartment in Manhattan, a backstory and social connections. She was attending charity galas, moving in elite circles, preparing for whatever role Phoenix had in mind for her. Nathan felt a chill. And that's where I came in. June nodded slowly. You weren't part of the original plan. But when Elizabeth met you, things changed. She fell in love, genuinely, deeply in love. She told me later that being with you was the first time she felt real again, despite living under a false name. But she never told me about Lily, about her past. She couldn't, not at first. Her arrangement with Victoria included strict confidentiality. Breaking that could mean losing the continued medical support she needed to stay in remission, and, worse, it could put Lily at risk. Nathan struggled to process what he was hearing. So all those years we were married. She was living a double life, June confirmed. She would visit Lily secretly whenever you were traveling for business. She told Lily that she had to work far away, but would come back whenever she could. Lily didn't know about the fake passing. That was a story we created for the outside world, for official records. Lily just thought her mom had a job that kept her away most of the time. Nathan remembered his frequent business trips, how Elizabeth had often declined to join him, claiming work commitments of her own. He'd never questioned it, respecting her independence. How blind he had been. "When did it all fall apart?" he asked quietly. June's expression softened. The cancer returned in 2021, more aggressive than before. Elizabeth knew she was running out of time for real this time. She wanted to tell you everything, to bring Lily into your life, but she was afraid. Afraid of what? That I wouldn't accept. Her daughter. Afraid you'd reject them both when you learned the truth, that you'd feel betrayed by the lies, and maybe most of all afraid of Victoria Blackwood, who by then had made it clear that any breach of confidentiality would have severe consequences. Nathan thought back to Elizabeth's final months, her increasing withdrawal, the periods of unexplained absence, the hushed phone calls. He had attributed it all to her declining health, never imagining there was so much more beneath the surface. "The butterfly pendant," he said suddenly. "She gave it to Lily before—" June nodded. "It was her way of connecting you both, I think. She told me once that if anything happened to her, that necklace would be the key to bringing her two worlds together." A door creaked, and both adults turned to see Lily standing in the hallway, her face pale but composed. "I heard everything," she said simply. "The walls are thin." Nathan felt a surge of concern. "Lily, I'm sorry. This must be overwhelming." "So, my mom didn't really die in 2018, Lily said, her voice unnervingly steady for a 12-year-old confronting such a revelation. "She just left me and became someone else. Your wife." "She never stopped being your mother, Lily," June said, gently. "She visited whenever she could. Remember those weekends I'd take you to the special program at the community center? You were really meeting her in a hotel or in Central Park when the weather was nice. But she lied to me. She made me think she had some important job when, really, she was living in a penthouse with him." Lily pointed at Nathan, her voice cracking slightly. Nathan felt the accusation like a physical blow. From Lily's perspective, he had stolen her mother, enjoyed Elizabeth's presence during years when the girl had only brief, secretive visits. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "If I had, things would have been different. I would have wanted to meet you, to include you in our lives." "How do I know you're not lying too?" Lily challenged. "Adults always lie when they think it's for your own good." June stood and put an arm around Lily's shoulders. "Your mother loved you more than anything in this world, honey. Everything she did, every choice, every sacrifice, was to stay alive for you, to give you a future." "Then why did she really die?" Lily asked, her tough facade cracking slightly. "If she beat the cancer once, why not again?" Nathan and June exchanged a look, sharing the burden of a painful truth. "The second time was different," June explained, softly. "The cancer had spread too far before they caught it, but she fought until the very end, Lily, I promise you that." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "And now what? What happens to me? Are you going to take me away from June?" she asked Nathan directly. The question caught him off guard. I don't know what happens next," he admitted. "But I do know that finding you, learning about this connection we share through Elizabeth, means something. I'd like us to figure it out together if you're willing." "There's more you should know," June interjected, looking at Nathan, "about Victoria Blackwood and Phoenix Enterprises." "What about them?" "After Elizabeth passed, Victoria came to see me. She made it clear that the arrangement died with Elizabeth, that Lily's existence, the whole double identity situation, needed to remain secret. She implied there would be consequences if it didn't." Nathan felt a surge of anger. "She threatened you?" "Not explicitly. Victoria's too smart for that, but the message was clear. And given her connections, her resources, I've been careful. We both have." Nathan thought of Victoria Blackwood, a name he'd never heard until today, yet someone who had apparently wielded enormous influence over Elizabeth's life, and by extension, his own. Who exactly is this woman? And what is Phoenix Enterprises really doing? June shook her head. "I only know what Elizabeth told me. And toward the end she was worried. She said Victoria had crossed lines. That Phoenix wasn't just helping people disappear anymore. They were creating elaborate fictions for more sinister purposes. Corporate espionage may be worse. And Elizabeth was involved? Initially as a medical consultant, ensuring the physical transformations were safe, but I think she was trying to extricate herself when she became ill again. That's part of why she was so afraid of Victoria, finding out about her plans to tell you everything. Nathan's mind raced with implications. Had Elizabeth been coerced? Blackmailed? Had her illness been a convenient escape from whatever Victoria had entangled her in? "We need to be careful," June warned. "Victoria has resources, connections, in high places. If she learns that you've found Lily, that you know the truth." "I'm not afraid of Victoria Blackwood," Nathan stated firmly, "and I won't let anyone threaten my wife's daughter." The possessive phrasing surprised even him, but he realized he meant it. Elizabeth had loved this girl. That made Lily family regardless of blood ties. Lily looked between the adults, the weight of revelations visibly heavy on her young shoulders. "I still don't understand why she couldn't just tell everyone the truth once she got better. Why all the secrets?" "Sometimes adults make complicated choices," Nathan said gently. "Sometimes those choices lead to situations that are hard to unwind." He paused, searching for the right words. "But I want you to know that whatever Elizabeth's reasons, whatever mistakes she might have made, her love for you was real. I saw how she treasured that pendant. I just didn't understand its significance until now." Lily's hand went to the butterfly at her throat, tracing its outline with her fingertips. "So, what happens now?" she asked again, her voice small but determined. Nathan looked to June, then back to Lily. "First, we make sure you're safe. Then, if you're willing, I'd like to get to know you, to honor Elizabeth's memory by building a bridge between the two. Worlds she had to keep separate." "And what about Victoria Blackwood?" June asked. "One step at a time," Nathan replied. "But I have resources too, and unlike Elizabeth, I'm not vulnerable to the kind of pressure Victoria applied." As night settled over the Queen's apartment, the three unlikely allies sat in the small living room, connected by shared loss and newly discovered truths. Nathan looked at Lily, at the determined set of her jaw, so reminiscent of Elizabeth's, at the butterfly pendant that had bridged impossible distances, and felt something he hadn't experienced since his wife's passing: purpose. Elizabeth had left him a final gift, a responsibility, and a mystery, all wrapped into one. The emptiness that had defined his existence for 3 years was now filled with questions, with danger, and with possibility. For the first time since losing her, Nathan Reed felt truly alive. Chapter 4. New Beginnings. The transition was anything but smooth. In the 2 weeks following their discovery, Nathan found himself navigating unfamiliar territory, both emotionally and practically. His penthouse, once a monument to minimalist luxury, now featured a hastily prepared guest room with bright blue walls and a bookshelf stocked with young adult novels. June had agreed that Lily should spend weekends with Nathan while they sorted out a more permanent arrangement, a compromise that satisfied no one entirely but seemed the most sensible first step. This particular Friday evening, Nathan stood in his kitchen staring helplessly at a recipe on his tablet. Elizabeth had been the cook between them. His culinary skills extended little beyond coffee and takeout orders. But tonight, he wanted to make dinner himself, a small gesture to make Lily feel welcome. "You're holding that knife wrong," came a voice from behind him. Nathan turned to see Lily leaning against the doorframe, her school backpack still slung over one shoulder. June had dropped her off downstairs 10 minutes earlier. "There's a wrong way to hold a knife?" Nathan asked, examining the utensil in question. "Mom always said you should curl your fingers under when you chop, so you don't cut yourself." Lily crossed the kitchen and demonstrated, her small hands moving with surprising confidence. "See? Like this." Nathan mimicked her technique. "Your mother taught you to cook?" "Some basics. She said everyone should know how to feed themselves properly." Lily surveyed the vegetables scattered across the cutting board. "What are you trying to make?" "Pasta primavera. I thought it might be something you'd like." Lily shrugged, but moved beside him and began organizing the ingredients. "The garlic needs to be minced finer, and you should slice the zucchini thinner." They worked side by side, an unexpected team. Nathan found himself relaxing as Lily quietly corrected his technique or suggested small improvements to the recipe. There was something of Elizabeth in her methodical approach, in the slight furrow of concentration between her brows. "Did my mom cook for you?" Lily asked suddenly, breaking the companionable silence. "All the time," Nathan replied. "She made this amazing roast chicken with herbs grown on our terrace. And she baked when she was stressed. The apartment would smell like cinnamon and vanilla after difficult days. She used to make me birthday cakes shaped like whatever I was obsessed with that year," Lily said, a small smile playing at her lips. "One time it was a dinosaur. The tail kept falling off and we had to prop it up with skewers. It was kind of a disaster, but also the best cake ever." These moments of shared memory had become precious to Nathan. Each one offered a glimpse of the Elizabeth he hadn't known. The young mother struggling to make birthdays special, so different from the confident woman who had hosted dinner parties for New York's elite. As they ate dinner at the kitchen island, Nathan noticed Lily glancing repeatedly at her phone. "Expecting a message?" he asked. "Just checking something with my friend Tyler. He's helping me with a project." "School project?" Lily hesitated. "Not exactly. It's complicated." Nathan had learned that complicated was Lily's code for topics she wasn't ready to discuss. He'd also learned to respect these boundaries, to wait for her to open doors rather than trying to force them. "Well, if you need any help, I'm pretty good at complicated." Lily studied him for a moment. "Tyler's trying to find information about Phoenix Enterprises, the company that woman Victoria ran." Nathan set down his fork. "Lily, we talked about this. Looking into Phoenix could be dangerous. June and I agreed we should move carefully." "June doesn't know anything about computers, and you're too busy with your company to really investigate." Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, without accusation. "Tyler's really good at finding information online. He taught himself coding when he was 10. And how old is Tyler now? 14, but he's super smart. He already got accepted to a special computer science program at Columbia for high school students." Nathan wasn't sure whether to be impressed or alarmed. "What exactly has Tyler found?" Lily pulled up something on her phone and passed it to Nathan. On the screen was a corporate registration document for Phoenix Enterprises listing Victoria Blackwood as CEO and principal shareholder. "This is public information," Nathan pointed out, scrolling through the basic filing. "Keep looking," Lily instructed. Further down was a list of affiliated companies, subsidiaries and partners that formed the Phoenix network. One name jumped out: Meridian Health Partners, a private medical facility in Connecticut. "That's where Mom got her treatments," Lily explained, "the experimental ones that put her cancer in remission the first time." Tyler found financial records showing millions of dollars flowing from Phoenix to Meridian between 2018 and 2021. Nathan felt a chill. "Lily, how did Tyler access these financial records? They wouldn't be public." Lily shifted uncomfortably. "He's good at finding things that aren't supposed to be found." "You mean he hacked into their systems?" "That's illegal, and potentially very dangerous, especially when dealing with someone like Victoria Blackwood." "He was careful, used proxies and stuff." Lily reclaimed her phone. "Don't you want to know what they were doing to my mom? Why Victoria wanted her to work for Phoenix so badly?" The question hung in the air between them. Of course Nathan wanted answers. The mystery of Elizabeth's double life consumed his thoughts, but not at the cost of putting Lily at risk. "I do want to know," he said carefully. "But we need to be smart about how we investigate. These are powerful people with resources and connections. If they realize we're looking into them—" "They already know," Lily said quietly. "What?" "Someone's been watching June's apartment. A black SUV parked across the street for 3 days last week. Tyler saw them taking pictures." Nathan felt a surge of alarm. "Why didn't you tell me immediately?" "Because you'd freak out, like you're doing now." Lily's calm was unsettling for someone so young. "Tyler helped me set up security cameras. Nothing fancy. just old phones with surveillance apps. The SUV left after June confronted them, but they'll be back. Nathan pulled out his own phone. I'm calling my security team. They need to sweep your apartment for listening devices set. A proper surveillance. June needs protection too. She won't leave the apartment, it's her home, and she has neighbors who depend on her. Then we'll protect her there. Nathan was already texting his head of security, a former FBI agent named Marcus, who handled everything from corporate espionage to personal protection. And we need to get Tyler to stop whatever hacking activities he's engaged in. He's putting himself at risk. Good luck with that, Lily muttered. Tyler doesn't exactly take orders. Then maybe he'll listen to reason. Where does he live? I want to speak with him and his parents. Lily's expression closed off. He doesn't have parents. He lives at Horizon House. It's a group home for foster kids. That's why he spends so much time at the library or at our apartment. June lets him hang out because it's safer than the streets. Nathan absorbed this information, recalibrating his approach. Then I'd like to meet him without parents present. Tomorrow, perhaps. He sounds like someone we want as an ally, not working independently. Lily seemed surprised by this response. You're not going to try to shut him down? I'm going to try to channel his skills in a safer direction, Nathan clarified. There are ways to investigate Phoenix that won't put a target on his back, or yours. For the first time that evening, Lily smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. Tyler will like you. He's into corporate espionage stories and thinks most CEOs are evil overlords, but he'll make an exception for you, probably. High praise indeed, Nathan said dryly. As they cleared the dinner dishes together, Nathan's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The screen displayed Victor Dawson, his CFO, who rarely called after hours unless something was urgently wrong. I need to take this, Nathan told Lily. Business call. Make yourself at home. The TV in the living room has every streaming. Service known to humanity. Lily nodded and disappeared down the hallway as Nathan answered the call. Victor, what's happening? Nathan, where have you been? Victor's voice was tense. The board is in an uproar. You've missed 3 meetings. In 2 weeks, you're not responding to emails, and rumors are starting to circulate. I've had some personal matters to attend to, Nathan replied, keeping his explanation deliberately vague. Harris has my proxy for voting decisions, and I've been handling the critical issues remotely. It's not just the board. There are unusual activities in our financial systems, unauthorized access attempts, strange queries against our personnel databases. The cybersecurity team is concerned. Nathan's thoughts immediately went to Phoenix Enterprises. Could Victoria Blackwood be looking into him now that he'd found Lily? Have they traced the source? Not yet, but that's not all. A reporter from the Wall Street Journal called today, asking questions about your connection to someone named Elizabeth Williams. Said they were working on a feature about the secret lives of tech executives. I deflected, but they seemed to have specific information. Nathan felt a surge of alarm. The situation was escalating faster than he'd anticipated. Victor, I need you to implement our crisis protocol Alpha, lock down all systems, restrict physical access to headquarters, and tell the executive team to enable 2-factor authentication on everything. Nathan, what's going on? Are we under attack? Not exactly. It's complicated and I can't explain everything right now, but I need you to trust me on this. There was a long pause before Victor responded. I've known you for 15 years. Nathan, if you say jump, I'll ask how high, but the board is going to demand answers soon. I'll come in Monday morning and brief everyone. Until then, security is the priority. After ending the call, Nathan stood motionless in the kitchen, processing the implications. Phoenix was already moving against him, probing his company's defenses, feeding information to journalists, perhaps preparing to discredit him before he could expose whatever operations Elizabeth had been involved with. He needed to accelerate his own plans, to move from defense to offense. But first, he needed to ensure Lily's safety. He found her in the living room, not watching TV but sketching intently in a notebook. Looking over her shoulder, he saw she was drawing a butterfly, not unlike the one on her pendant, but with more elaborate patterns. That's beautiful, he said. Lily shrugged but didn't stop drawing. Mom used to draw butterflies too. She said they reminded her of transformation, how something can change completely but still carry its essence forward. The observation was startlingly profound, and so perfectly Elizabeth that Nathan felt a pang of loss and recognition. "Lily," he said carefully, "things may get complicated in the coming days. Victoria and Phoenix seem to be aware that we're looking into them. I want you to stay here with me for a while, not just weekends. I've already discussed it with June, and she agrees it's safer." Lily's pencil paused mid-stroke. "What about school, my friends? We'll work it out. There are excellent schools near here, or we can arrange secure transportation to your current school." He hesitated, then added, "I know this isn't what you signed up for. None of this is, but I promise to protect you, and that's a promise I intend to keep." Lily studied him, her expression unreadable. Then she turned back to her drawing, adding one final line before speaking. "Mom used to say you were the strongest person she knew. Not physical strong, but like inside strong. She said if anyone could handle the truth, it would be you." She closed her sketchbook. "I guess we're going to find out if she was right." As Nathan looked at this remarkable girl, this unexpected connection to the woman he'd loved, he silently vowed that Elizabeth's faith in him would not be misplaced. Whatever secrets Phoenix held, whatever danger Victoria Blackwood represented, he would face it all to protect the daughter Elizabeth had been forced to keep hidden. The butterfly pendant at Lily's throat caught the light as she stood, a small, blue flame that seemed to symbolize everything at stake, past and future, truth and deception, love and loss, all converging in a moment that would change both their lives forever. Chapter 5. Shadows of Phoenix. The Reed Innovations headquarters dominated a corner of Midtown Manhattan, its glass and steel facade reflecting the morning sun as Nathan guided Lily through the private entrance. He'd delayed his promised Monday meeting with the board, unwilling to leave Lily alone after the weekend's developments. Instead, he'd brought her with him, setting her up in his private office with Tyler, who had agreed to join them after a surprisingly candid conversation the previous day. "This place is intense," Tyler observed, spinning slowly in one of the ergonomic chairs. He was lanky and sharp-featured, with dark hair that fell across intelligent eyes and a perpetual expression of skepticism. Very corporate overlord aesthetic. "Tyler," Lily warned, though a smile tugged at her lips. Nathan found himself unexpectedly amused by the teen's frankness. "The design firm called it progressive minimalism. I call it expensive grey." Tyler snorted appreciatively before turning serious. "So about those security measures we discussed?" "Already implemented," Nathan confirmed. "This office is completely isolated from the main network. The devices I provided aren't connected to Reed Innovation systems at all. They're running through secure channels managed by an independent security firm." "Smart," Tyler acknowledged. "Phoenix has sophisticated, digital surveillance capabilities. They've been probing Reed Innovations firewalls for days." "How do you know that?" Nathan asked. Tyler exchanged a glance with Lily. "I may have set up a monitoring system after our talk yesterday. Nothing invasive, just a passive scanner that alerts me to external probing attempts." Rather than reprimanding the teen, Nathan nodded appreciatively. "Send the data to Marcus. He'll integrate it with our defensive measures." Leaving the teens with strict instructions not to leave the office, Nathan made his way to the boardroom. Victor was waiting outside, his usually impeccable appearance slightly disheveled, suggesting he'd been working through the weekend. "Nathan, finally," he said, lowering his voice, "the situation has escalated. 3 separate news outlets have contacted us about your secret family. There are photographers camped outside the building, and the system intrusions have intensified." "I'll address the board directly," Nathan replied. "Have Marcus join us. We'll need his security expertise." The boardroom fell silent as Nathan entered. 8 faces turned toward him, expressions ranging from concern to outright suspicion. These were his hand-picked executives and investors, people who had trusted his leadership for years. Now that trust was visibly wavering. "Thank you all for your patience," Nathan began, taking his place at the head of the table. I owe you an explanation for my recent absence and the unusual security measures we've implemented." "That would be an understatement," remarked Sandra Chen, head of product development, and a board member known for her directness. "Nathan, there are rumors you've had some sort of breakdown, that you've been seen with the child you're claiming is your daughter from a secret relationship." "Not my daughter," Nathan clarified. "My stepdaughter, though I didn't know of her existence. Until recently." He took a deep breath and gave them the condensed version of his discovery. The butterfly pendant, Lily, the revelation of Elizabeth's double life. "So your late wife had a secret child and identity before she met you," Victor summarized when Nathan finished. "While tragic and certainly disruptive to your personal life, how does this connect to the security threats against our company?" "Because of the organization behind Elizabeth's identity change," Nathan explained. "Phoenix Enterprises appears to be involved in corporate espionage, identity manipulation, and potentially other illegal activities. When they realized I'd discovered Lily and was investigating them, they began targeting Reed Innovations." Marcus, who had joined them midway through Nathan's explanation, pulled up a series of data visualizations on the room's main screen. "We've documented over 30 sophisticated intrusion attempts in the past week alone. The attackers are specifically targeting executive files, Mr. Reed's personal communications, and our client database. This isn't just about protecting my stepdaughter," Nathan continued. "Phoenix has connections to Meridian Health Partners, which was conducting experimental treatments that miraculously cured Elizabeth's cancer temporarily. I believe they may have used her as a test subject for unauthorized medical procedures, then leveraged her recovery to force her into working for them." The board members exchanged uncomfortable glances. Nathan, Harris Matthews, his oldest friend, and the company's chief legal officer spoke carefully. "These are serious allegations against powerful entities. Do you have evidence beyond the coincidences you've outlined?" "We're gathering it," Nathan replied, "but the aggressive response to my simple inquiries suggests Phoenix has something significant to hide. Or they're protecting themselves from what they perceive as corporate espionage from our side," Sandra pointed out. "Perception matters in these situations." "Which is why we need to move quickly," Nathan agreed. "I'm proposing a three-pronged approach. First, strengthen our security to protect against further intrusions. Second, conduct a legitimate investigation into Phoenix and Meridian through legal channels. And third, prepare a public relations strategy for when this inevitably becomes public knowledge." The discussion that followed was intense, with various board members expressing concerns about reputation risk, legal exposure, and the potential impact on the company's stock price. Nathan listened patiently, addressing each point with the calm assurance that had made him a successful CEO. By the end of the 2-hour meeting, he had secured a tentative consensus to proceed with caution. As the board members filed out, Victor lingered behind. "There's something else you should know," he said once they were alone. "A woman named Victoria Blackwood requested a meeting with me last week. Said it was regarding a potential partnership between Reed Innovations and Phoenix Enterprises." Nathan felt a chill. "What did you tell her?" "That all partnership discussions needed to go through proper channels, starting with our business development team." Victor hesitated. She was unsettling. Very polished, but there was something predatory in her approach. She knew details about our quantum computing project that aren't public knowledge. "Did you agree to meet with her?" "I scheduled something for next week, purely as a delaying tactic. I had no intention of keeping the appointment after learning about your concerns." Nathan considered this information. "No, keep the meeting, but we'll prepare carefully, and you won't go alone." Victor raised an eyebrow. "You want to use me as bait?" "I want to give Victoria Blackwood an opportunity to reveal her hand while we control the environment." Nathan placed a hand on his CFO's shoulder. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, Victor." "I know," Victor managed a tight smile. 15 years working together. I can tell when something matters to you beyond business. This girl, Lily, she must be pretty special." "She's Elizabeth's daughter," Nathan said simply. "That makes her family." Returning to his office, Nathan found Lily and Tyler hunched over a laptop, whispering intently. They straightened immediately when he entered, wearing matching expressions of forced casualness that instantly raised his suspicions. "What have you two been up to?" he asked. "Homework," Lily said too quickly. "School project," Tyler offered simultaneously. Nathan crossed his arms. "Try again." The teens exchanged glances before Lily sighed. "We found something about Meridian Health Partners. Tyler was able to access—" "Public records," Tyler interrupted firmly. "Totally legal, above-board research methods." Nathan suppressed a smile at the obvious lie. "And what did these public records reveal?" Tyler turned the laptop toward him. "Meridian isn't just a treatment facility. It's a research center specializing in experimental immunotherapy. They've had multiple FDA violations over the past 5 years, but somehow continue operating. And look at this." He pointed to a document on the screen. "Their research focuses on something called adaptive cellular reconstruction. They claim unprecedented success rates with terminal cancer patients. The success comes with conditions," Lily added. "The patients who recover have to participate in ongoing maintenance studies. We think that's code for something else." Nathan studied the information, connecting dots. "Elizabeth's medical monitoring requirements, the regular appointments she never wanted me to attend with her." "Exactly," Tyler said. "And there's more. Meridian has a sister facility in Arizona called Desert Horizon Wellness. Different name, same ownership structure, similar research focus. They specialize in identity reconstruction for their recovered patients." "Physical alterations?" Nathan asked, alarmed. "Mostly psychological from what we can tell," Tyler clarified. "Creating new backstories, new personalities that can be seamlessly integrated into specific social environments. It's like reprogramming people." The implications were disturbing. Had Elizabeth been subjected to psychological manipulation, beyond the simple identity change? Had her feelings for him been genuine, or part of a constructed persona? No. Nathan refused to doubt the authenticity of their connection. Whatever else Phoenix had done, they hadn't manufactured the love he and Elizabeth had shared. "I need to see these facilities," he decided, "to understand what they did to Elizabeth, what they might still be doing to others." "You can't just walk into a place like Meridian," Tyler objected. "They'll have security, restricted access, and if they recognize you—" "I won't be going." "As Nathan Reed," he replied, "I'll use the same techniques they employ. A change of identity, appearance, background." "That's crazy," Lily said, but her expression suggested she was impressed rather than disapproving. "Actually, it's brilliant," Tyler mused. "Fighting fire with fire, but you'd need help pulling it off. I know people who specialize in this kind of operation," Nathan assured them. "Former intelligence professionals who now work in corporate security. With their assistance and your research, we can create a believable cover." Lily's phone buzzed with an incoming text. She checked it, then looked up with concern. "It's June. Someone broke into our apartment while she was at work. The place is trashed, but nothing valuable was taken." They were looking for information, Nathan realized. "June, is she safe?" "She's with our neighbor, Mrs. Ramirez. She's pretty shaken up." Nathan immediately called Marcus, arranging for security personnel to escort June to a safe location, a company apartment used for visiting. Executives that wasn't connected to Nathan personally. "They're escalating," Tyler noted after Nathan ended the call. "First surveillance, then digital intrusion, now physical searches. They're getting desperate." "Which means we're close to something important," Nathan concluded. "We need to accelerate our plans." As they began outlining a strategy for investigating Meridian, Nathan's executive assistant knocked and entered, her expression tense. "Mr. Reed, there's a situation in the lobby. A woman is demanding to see you, says her name is Victoria Blackwood. Security tried to escort her out, but she's threatening to make a scene with the reporters outside. She claims it's about your stepdaughter." Nathan felt a surge of anger, followed by cold determination. "Tell security to bring her to conference. Room C. No recording devices, full security screening." "Nathan, you can't meet with her," Lily protested, eyes wide with alarm. "Not alone," he agreed. "Marcus will be with me, And I want you and Tyler moved to the secure room we prepared. No arguments, he added, as Lily opened her mouth to object. Further, Victoria Blackwood is dangerous, and I won't have you anywhere near her. Once the teens were safely relocated, Nathan took a moment to compose himself before heading to the conference room. Victoria Blackwood had manipulated Elizabeth, threatened June, and was now targeting his company. She had forced her way into his building, believing her power and connections made her untouchable. It was time to show her she was wrong. Victoria. Blackwood was not what he expected. Based on June's description, he had imagined someone overtly intimidating, sharp-featured and hard-eyed. Instead, the woman waiting in the conference room was elegantly understated, with silver-streaked dark hair and the poised demeanor of old money. She could have been a philanthropist or museum curator, rather than the puppet master behind a shadowy enterprise. "Mr. Reed," she said, extending a manicured hand that he deliberately did not take. "How kind of you to make time for me, though your security procedures are rather excessive." "Not excessive enough, apparently, since you managed to leverage media pressure to force this meeting," Nathan replied coolly, taking a seat across from her. Marcus stood silently by the door, his presence a silent reminder that this encounter was being monitored. Victoria smiled thinly. "Direct. I appreciate that quality. Elizabeth always spoke highly of your straightforwardness." The casual mention of his wife's name was clearly calculated to provoke him. Nathan refused to give her the satisfaction. "State your business, Ms. Blackwood. I have a company to run." "Indeed you do. A very successful one, which would be a shame to see damaged by unnecessary scandal." She placed a slim folder on the table. "I've come to offer a mutually beneficial arrangement regarding young Lily Williams." "You mean my stepdaughter? The child Elizabeth was forced to abandon because of your manipulation?" If his bluntness surprised her, Victoria didn't show it. "Elizabeth made choices, Mr. Reed. Difficult ones, certainly, but choices nonetheless. We provided a solution when conventional medicine offered none. The terms were clear from the beginning. Terms that included separating a mother from her child and creating an elaborate fiction that caused pain to everyone involved." Victoria's expression hardened slightly. "We gave Elizabeth a second chance at life. The experimental treatments she received at Meridian were her only hope. In exchange, we required certain commitments. That's how business works, Mr. Reed. I'm sure you understand the concept of quid pro quo." "What I understand," Nathan replied evenly, "is that you're continuing to threaten a 12-year-old girl and her caretaker. That ends today." Victoria leaned forward. "Nothing needs to be adversarial between us. Phoenix Enterprises and Reed Innovations could form a powerful alliance. Your quantum computing research, combined with our biomedical applications, imagine the possibilities. I'm not interested in partnerships built on blackmail and exploitation." "Then perhaps you'll be interested in preservation." Victoria opened the folder, revealing photographs of Lily at school, at June's apartment, entering Nathan's building. The media would be fascinated by the story of Nathan Reed's secret stepdaughter. The questions it would raise about your late wife's integrity, about your own judgment. Your board might wonder what other secrets you're keeping. Nathan felt rage building but kept his expression neutral. "Is that your leverage? Tabloid gossip?" "It's merely the beginning. There are also the irregular treatments Elizabeth received. Experimental. Not fully approved by regulatory authorities. As her husband, you could be implicated in knowledge of these procedures. And then there's the matter of Lily's legal status. Her mother's passing was officially recorded in 2018. Legally speaking, the woman who died in 2022 wasn't her mother at all. The implications for inheritance, for guardianship, it's all quite complicated." The threat was clear. Victoria could create legal chaos that would separate Nathan from Lily, potentially placing the girl in state custody while courts sorted through the deliberately confusing paper trail Phoenix had created. "Here is my counteroffer. Ms. Blackwood," Nathan said, his voice dangerously quiet, "you will cease all surveillance and harassment of Lily Williams, June Matthews, and anyone connected to them. You will provide full documentation of all medical procedures performed on Elizabeth Reed, formerly Elizabeth Williams, and you will dismantle whatever operation at Phoenix involves identity manipulation for corporate espionage. Victoria actually laughed. Or what, Mr. Reed? Or I will dedicate every resource at my disposal to exposing Phoenix Enterprises, not through the media, but through federal regulatory agencies. The FDA would be particularly interested in Meridian's experimental protocols. The SEC might have questions about how Phoenix's corporate clients use false identities to manipulate market positions, and the FBI generally takes a dim view of organized blackmail operations. The smile faded from Victoria's face. You're overplaying your hand. You have suspicions, not evidence. I have more than you think, Nathan bluffed, smoothly. And unlike Elizabeth, I'm not vulnerable to your particular brand of coercion. I have no illness for you to exploit, no desperate need you can leverage. Everyone has vulnerabilities, Mr. Reed, even you. Victoria gathered her photographs, returning them to the folder. I came here hoping for a reasonable discussion between equals. I see that was optimistic. This meeting is over, Nathan stated, rising from his chair. Marcus will escort you out. Any further attempts to contact me or Lily will be considered harassment and treated accordingly. Victoria stood, smoothing her already immaculate jacket. You're making a serious mistake. Elizabeth understood the necessary compromises. She was pragmatic. Elizabeth was trapped, Nathan corrected, and I intend to ensure no one else suffers the same fate. As Marcus moved to escort Victoria from the room, she paused at the door. The butterfly pendant, she said, her tone conversational. A beautiful piece. Did you know the blue morpho butterfly's wings aren't actually blue? It's a structural coloration, an illusion created by the way light refracts through microscopic scales. What appears to be true isn't always reality, Mr. Reed. Remember that. After she left, Nathan remained in the conference room processing the encounter. Victoria had revealed more than she intended, confirming Phoenix's connection to Meridian, acknowledging the experimental nature of Elizabeth's treatment, even implying knowledge of the pendant's significance. But her final warning lingered. What appears to be true isn't always reality. Was she suggesting that Elizabeth's recovery had been an illusion, that her cancer had never truly been in remission? Or was there something else, something about Elizabeth herself, that Nathan still didn't understand? As he walked back toward his office, Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Found something big in Meridian's research protocols. You need to see this now. The butterfly effect was in motion. One small discovery had set off a chain reaction that was now accelerating beyond control. Nathan could only hope they were prepared for whatever revelations waited at the end of this rapidly unfolding mystery. Chapter 6. Transformation. It's not just cancer treatment, Tyler explained, his voice tight with urgency as Nathan entered the secure room. Meridian was developing something they called identity pharmaceuticals, drugs that could temporarily alter personality traits, emotional responses, even core memories. Nathan stared at the research protocol displayed on Tyler's laptop. The E document marked with Meridian's letterhead and classified Phase 3 trials across the top, detailed a treatment regimen combining immunotherapy with experimental neurological compounds. These drugs target both the cancer cells and specific areas of the brain, Tyler continued. The medical terminology is dense, but I cross-referenced it with publicly available research. They're essentially creating a form of directed neuroplasticity, reshaping patients' neural pathways while fighting their cancer. Why? Lily asked, her face pale. Why would they want to change how people think? Control, Nathan realized. Victoria said Elizabeth understood the necessary compromises. What if those weren't just ethical compromises? What if the treatments themselves made her more compliant, more willing to accept Phoenix's demands? The implications were horrifying. Had Elizabeth's love for him been genuine or chemically influenced? Had her personality, the warmth, intelligence, and quiet strength he'd fallen in love with, been partially manufactured? There's more, Tyler said grimly. "The protocol includes regular maintenance doses administered every 6 weeks. Without them, patients experience what they euphemistically call identity regression, essentially the return of original personality traits and memories that had been suppressed." Nathan remembered Elizabeth's regular wellness checkups, appointments she'd insisted on attending alone, returning from each slightly withdrawn before gradually returning to her usual self. He'd attributed the pattern to standard medical anxiety, never imagining something far more sinister. The last entry in her treatment records is from 3 months before she... Lily couldn't finish the sentence, her hand going instinctively to the butterfly pendant. Before her passing, Nathan completed gently, if she missed her maintenance doses because of her declining health, she would have started remembering, Lily whispered. Remembering me, her real life. The realization hung heavy in the air. Elizabeth's final months, her increased withdrawal, and emotional volatility, signs Nathan had attributed to her illness, might actually have been her true self resurfacing, struggling against years of chemical suppression. "That's why she gave you the pendant," Nathan said to Lily. "She was remembering, fighting through the fog. She wanted to create a connection between us, knowing what might happen." Tyler cleared his throat. "There's one more thing you need to see." He pulled up another document. "This is from Desert Horizon, Wellness, the sister facility in Arizona. They have a list of active identity constructs, essentially people like Elizabeth, who received the treatment and were placed in specific roles. The list included 24 code names alongside target organizations. Nathan scanned it with growing dread until his gaze stopped on a familiar entry. Monarch, embedded at Reed Innovations, 2019-2022. Monarch, the code name for Elizabeth's mission. The butterfly connection suddenly made painful sense. "I was the target all along," Nathan said quietly. "Phoenix placed Elizabeth in my life deliberately. Our meeting at that charity gala, it wasn't chance." "But why?" Lily asked. "What did they want from you?" Nathan's mind raced through possibilities. Reed Innovations' quantum computing research. It has applications beyond what we've publicly disclosed, potential uses in cryptography, security systems, even military applications. Victoria mentioned it specifically when she came to see me. "So they used my mum to, what, spy on your company?" Lily's voice cracked with indignation. "Not just spy," Tyler suggested, looking uncomfortable. "According to these protocols, subjects could be programmed with specific objectives while maintaining genuine-seeming emotional connections, the perfect corporate espionage tool, someone who doesn't even realize they're gathering intelligence." The room fell silent as they absorbed the implications. Elizabeth, or Eliza, had been used as an unwitting agent, her illness leveraged to make her compliant, her emotions potentially manipulated. And yet... "No," Nathan said firmly. "They might have arranged our meeting, might have influenced certain aspects of her behavior, but they couldn't fabricate everything. The woman I knew, her compassion, her quiet strength, the way she looked at the world, that was real." Lily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "How can you be sure?" "Because, in the end, she fought back. She gave you the pendant, creating a connection they never intended. And according to Tyler's research, she stopped taking the maintenance medication in her final months. She was choosing to remember, to reconnect with her true self, even knowing it might mean losing the life she'd built with me." Nathan placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Your mother was extraordinary. Even under their influence, she found a way to protect you, to leave breadcrumbs that would eventually bring us together." A knock at the door interrupted the moment. Marcus entered, his expression grave. "Sir, we have a situation. Victor Dawson has disappeared." "What do you mean, disappeared?" "He left for lunch 2 hours ago and never returned. His security detail lost him near Bryant Park. His phone is offline, and he missed a critical vendor call, completely out of character." Nathan felt a chill. "It's Victoria. She's escalating." "There's more," Marcus continued. "Our security team intercepted a courier delivering this to the front desk." He handed Nathan a small package. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten Note the complete Monarch file. Make the right choice. The handwriting was unmistakably Victoria's. It's a trap, Tyler warned. That drive probably contains malware to breach your systems. Probably, Nathan agreed, but it might also contain evidence we need. Marcus, have the security team set up an isolated workstation with no network connection. We need to see what's on this drive without exposing our systems. While Marcus arranged the secure setup, Nathan's phone rang, an unknown number. Mr. Reed, Victoria's smooth voice came through the speaker. I trust you've received my package. Where is Victor Dawson? He's perfectly safe, merely helping us understand certain aspects of Reed Innovations' quantum computing architecture. He'll be returned unharmed once our discussion reaches a satisfactory conclusion. Nathan fought to keep his voice steady. Kidnapping is a federal offense, Victoria. Such dramatic terminology. Mr. Dawson accompanied our representatives voluntarily, after being shown certain evidence about his CFO duties that federal authorities might find interesting. His own ethical lapses made him vulnerable, unlike you, apparently. The implication was clear. Victoria had discovered something compromising about Victor and was using it as leverage. What do you want? The same thing I offered in your office. A partnership. Reed Innovations' quantum computing technology, combined with Phoenix's biomedical research, could revolutionize targeted therapeutics. Imagine computing power that could model neurological pathways with perfect precision, creating treatments tailored to individual genetic profiles. Treatments like the ones you used to control Elizabeth? Victoria sighed. Elizabeth benefited from cutting-edge medicine that saved her life. The identity aspects were a necessary component of her particular cancer therapy, a way of separating her from traumatic memories that were triggering inflammatory responses in her body. Everything we did was for her benefit. You separated a mother from her child and used her illness to coerce her into corporate espionage. Don't pretend this was humanitarian. The butterfly sees the world differently after transformation, Mr. Reed. Elizabeth understood that better than most. Victoria's tone hardened. The USB contains her complete file. Medical records, psychological evaluations, mission parameters. Review it, then call this number when you're ready to discuss terms. You have 3 hours before Mr. Dawson's situation becomes complicated. The line went dead. We need to find Victor, Nathan told Marcus. Start with traffic cameras near Bryant Park, then expand to Phoenix's known properties within a 50-mile radius. On it, Marcus confirmed, leaving to coordinate with his team. What about the USB? Lily asked. We'll view it, but carefully. Whatever Victoria's game, the truth about your mother is on that drive. We deserve to know regardless of her agenda. An hour later, they gathered around the isolated computer in Nathan's private conference room. The USB's contents were extensive. Medical, files, psychological profiles, and video recordings spanning 4 years. The earliest files documented Subject 37's initial cancer diagnosis and recruitment into the Meridian program. Nathan watched with a mix of horror and heartbreak as Eliza Williams, desperate and afraid for her daughter's future, signed consent forms for experimental treatment. The identity reconstruction aspects were mentioned only in vague terms about psychological support and stress reduction therapy. They never told her the full truth, Nathan realized. They exploited her desperation. Later files showed Elizabeth's transformation, not just her recovery from cancer, but subtle changes in her speech patterns, interests, even her posture. The Elizabeth Taylor personality had been carefully constructed to appeal to Nathan, specifically based on psychological profiles Phoenix had compiled. They studied you, Tyler observed. They knew exactly what kind of woman you'd fall for. Nathan felt sick, but forced himself to continue reviewing the files. Among the video recordings was one labeled Final Cognitive Assessment, dated just 2 weeks before Elizabeth's passing. He clicked play, bracing himself. Elizabeth appeared on screen, thinner than he remembered, but with a clarity in her eyes he recognized from their earliest days together. She sat in what appeared to be a medical office, facing a clinician whose face remained off camera. "How are you feeling today, Elizabeth?" a female voice asked. "My name is Eliza," she replied with quiet determination. "Eliza Williams." "I see. And can you tell me why you believe that?" "Because I'm remembering. The maintenance doses stopped working months ago, and I chose not to report it. I know what you've done to me, what you've made me do." The clinician's voice remained professional. "What specifically do you believe we've done? You used my cancer as leverage. You separated me from my daughter. You created Elizabeth Taylor, then Elizabeth Reed, to access Nathan's company. But you miscalculated." "In what way?" Eliza, smiled faintly. "You didn't account for real love, not mine for Nathan and certainly not his for me. You thought you could program emotions, but some things can't be manufactured or controlled." Lily made a small sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. Nathan reached for her hand, finding it cold but gripping his tightly. "The cancer is back," Eliza continued on the recording. "Terminal this time, no miraculous treatments to offer. You have no more leverage over me. So I'm going to set things right in my own way, on my own timeline. That would be ill-advised considering your condition. My condition is precisely why I can act now. What more can you do to me?" Eliza leaned forward. "I've left breadcrumbs. Nathan will find them eventually. He'll find Lily. And when he does, everything you've built will collapse." The recording ended abruptly. Nathan sat in stunned silence, processing what he'd just witnessed. Eliza, had been fighting back in her final months, deliberately creating a path for him to find Lily, knowing it would expose Phoenix's operation. The butterfly pendant hadn't been just a sentimental gift to her daughter. It had been a catalyst, designed to bring Nathan and Lily together when the time was right. "Mom knew," Lily whispered. "She knew what would happen. She was protecting both of us," Nathan agreed, "making sure we'd find each other after she was gone." Tyler had been examining other files while they watched the video. "Guys, I think I found something else important. Financial records showing transactions between Victor Dawson and Phoenix Enterprises dating back 5 years, before Elizabeth even entered the picture. Victor was working with them all along," Nathan realized. "He was their original inside man at Reed Innovations. Which means Victoria's kidnapping is probably staged," Tyler concluded. "A way to create urgency while they access your systems through whatever malware is hidden on this drive." Nathan immediately pulled out his phone. "Marcus, lock down all company systems immediately. Full security protocol. And put together a team. We're going to pay Phoenix Enterprises a visit." "What about Victor?" Marcus asked. "He's not a hostage. He's an accomplice. Focus on securing our systems and gathering a security team. I'll text you an address." After ending the call, Nathan turned to Lily and Tyler. "I need you both to go to the safe house with June. No arguments," he added, as Lily began to protest. "I'm going to confront Victoria with what we've found, but I need to know you're protected." "And if something happens to you?" Lily asked, her voice small. "It won't," Nathan promised. "But if it did, Marcus has instructions. You'd be taken care of, your future secured. I've already made the arrangements." "That's not what I meant," Lily said, blinking back tears. "I just found you. I can't lose another parent." The word parent hung in the air between them, unexpected and powerful. Nathan knelt to meet her eyes. "You're not going to lose me. We're going to finish what your mother started, exposing Phoenix and making sure no one else suffers what she did. But to do that, I need to know you're safe." After a moment, Lily nodded reluctantly. "Promise you'll come back." "I promise," Nathan said, and meant it. 2 hours later, Nathan stood in the lobby of Phoenix Enterprises' Manhattan office, flanked by Marcus and 2 security specialists. The building was sleek and modern, its reception area designed to project legitimate, corporate prestige. "Mr. Reed," the receptionist greeted him with practiced professionalism. "Do you have an appointment?" "Tell Ms. Blackwood that I've reviewed the Monarch file and I'm ready to discuss her proposal," Nathan replied. "She's expecting me." Within minutes, they were escorted to an executive floor where Victoria waited, in a conference room looking unsurprised by Nathan's entourage. "Security precautions?" she asked, gesturing to Marcus and the others. hardly necessary for a business meeting. "Where's Victor Dawson?" Nathan asked without preamble. Victoria smiled. "Cooperating fully with our technical team, as he has been for years. Victor recognized the potential of our partnership long before you did." "There will be no partnership," Nathan stated firmly. "I've seen Elizabeth's file. I know what Phoenix did to her, how you manipulated and exploited her illness. What we did was save her life when conventional medicine had failed," Victoria countered. "The identity aspects were a necessary component of the treatment, separating the patient from traumatic psychological patterns that were exacerbating her condition. Convenient that those necessary changes also made her the perfect corporate spy." Victoria sighed. "Corporate intelligence gathering is a reality of modern business, Mr. Reed. Elizabeth's placement at Reed Innovations was mutually beneficial. She received life-saving treatment and we gained insights into your quantum computing research. And Lily? Was separating a mother from her child also mutually beneficial? An unfortunate necessity. The emotional connection to her daughter was precisely the kind of stress trigger that accelerated her cancer. The separation was temporary until we could stabilize her condition. Except it wasn't temporary, was it? You never intended to reunite them." Victoria's expression hardened slightly. "Plans evolved as circumstances changed. Elizabeth's integration into your life was more successful than anticipated. The emotional attachment she formed with you was unexpected. It complicated matters. Because she fell in love, really fell in love, beyond whatever chemical manipulation you attempted. The human heart remains frustratingly unpredictable, even with our advances," Victoria acknowledged. "But we're not monsters, Mr. Reed. We're scientists pushing boundaries to cure diseases conventional medicine considers hopeless. You're manipulating desperate people for corporate gain, and it ends today." Nathan placed a flash drive on the table between them. "This contains everything we found in Elizabeth's file, along with documentation of Phoenix's illegal activities, unauthorized medical experiments, corporate espionage, blackmail, identity fraud. Copies have been sent to federal authorities, major news outlets, and a security vault that will release everything publicly if anything happens to me, Lily, or anyone connected to us." Victoria's composed facade cracked slightly. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Nathan leaned forward. "Elizabeth predicted this moment. In her final months, as your drugs lost their effectiveness, she remembered everything and started laying groundwork. The butterfly pendant, medical records hidden where I would eventually find them. Recorded conversations with your clinicians. She knew I'd discover the truth eventually." For the first time, Victoria looked genuinely unsettled. "What do you want?" "Phoenix Enterprises will cease operations immediately. Meridian Health Partners and Desert Horizon Wellness will transfer all patient records to legitimate medical facilities, with full disclosure of all treatments administered. You will provide comprehensive documentation of everyone subjected to your identity pharmaceuticals, ensuring they receive proper care and support during their recovery." "That's not possible. The financial implications alone are not my concern," Nathan interrupted. "My legal team has prepared papers transferring control of Phoenix's assets to a newly established foundation that will oversee the transition and provide support to victims. You can sign voluntarily or after federal. Charges are filed, your choice." Victoria studied him, calculating odds and options. "And what about Victor Dawson? He'll face the consequences of his actions, as will everyone involved in this operation. But my priority is the patients, people like Elizabeth, who were exploited at their most vulnerable." After a long moment, Victoria reached for the document. Folder Marcus had placed before her. "You're destroying years of groundbreaking research, Mr. Reed, research that could save countless lives." "No, I'm ensuring that research continues ethically, with proper oversight and patient consent. The Foundation will fund legitimate studies based on Phoenix's work, but without the exploitation and coercion." As Victoria began reviewing the documents, Nathan felt a sense of completion, not victory exactly, but resolution. Elizabeth had trusted him to finish what she had started, to protect Lily and expose Phoenix's operation. Against incredible odds, facing an opponent who had tried to manipulate every aspect of their lives, love had prevailed. 3 months later, Nathan stood on the rooftop garden of Reed Innovations headquarters, watching as Lily carefully transferred a newly emerged butterfly from its chrysalis container to a flowering plant. The rooftop had been transformed into a butterfly sanctuary, part of the Elizabeth Reed Foundation's educational program for children affected by cancer. "It's beautiful," Lily said, as the butterfly's wings slowly opened, revealing iridescent blue that caught the sunlight. "A perfect morpho." "Just like your mother's pendant," Nathan observed. Lily touched the butterfly necklace she still wore daily. "Do you think she knew that we'd end up here, doing this?" "I think she hoped," Nathan replied. "She created the possibility when she gave you that pendant when she fought to remember who she really was. The rest was up to us." The past months had brought whirlwind changes. Phoenix Enterprises had been dismantled, its legitimate medical research transferred to ethical oversight. Victor Dawson and Victoria Blackwood faced federal charges, while Meridian's patients received proper care and support during their transition off the experimental protocols. Most importantly, Lily had officially become Nathan's daughter through adoption, a process expedited by the extraordinary circumstances and June's wholehearted support. The legal complexities of Elizabeth's dual identity had been resolved, ensuring Lily's inheritance rights and future security. Tyler had been offered a legitimate position in Reed Innovations' cybersecurity division, a part-time role that worked around his school schedule and provided mentorship from the company's top experts. His experience with Phoenix had convinced Nathan that exceptional talent deserved nurturing, regardless of conventional pathways. "The Foundation's first cancer treatment center opens next month," Nathan reminded Lily. "The board approved the additional funding yesterday." The Elizabeth Reed Foundation had become Nathan's passion project, a multifaceted organization that supported cancer research, provided resources for families navigating treatment options, and advocated for transparency in experimental medical protocols. The butterfly logo, inspired by Lily's pendant, had become a symbol of transformation and hope. "Mom would be proud," Lily said quietly. "Not just of the foundation, but of us, how we found each other, how we're moving forward." Nathan put an arm around his daughter's shoulders, watching as more butterflies emerged from their chrysalises around the garden. "She brought us together across impossible odds. That's a kind of magic that even Phoenix's science couldn't fully explain." "Love," Lily said simply. "That's what she told that doctor in the video. Real love can't be manufactured or controlled." "The wisest thing anyone's ever said," Nathan agreed. As they stood together in the garden, surrounded by butterflies taking flight on jewel-toned wings, Nathan realized that Elizabeth had given him one final, precious gift. Not just the daughter he'd never known he had, but a second chance at family, at purpose, at transformation. The butterfly pendant caught the sunlight as Lily moved, sending blue reflections dancing across the garden, not an illusion, as Victoria had claimed, but a natural wonder. Sometimes, Nathan reflected, what appeared to be true was indeed reality. You just had to look with the right eyes and an open heart. "Ready to go home?" he asked. Lily nodded, taking one last look at the blue morpho butterfly now flexing its wings on the flowering plant. "Ready." Together they left the garden, stepping into a future neither could have imagined months before, a future built on truth, connection, and the enduring power of a mother's love that had transcended even the most elaborate deceptions. The butterfly effect, set in motion by a single pendant, had transformed everything in its path. And in that transformation, something beautiful had emerged, a new family forged in adversity but bound by love, just as Elizabeth had intended all along. Dear listeners, we hope that Nathan and Lily's emotional journey has touched your heart. The power of connection, even across seemingly impossible barriers, reminds us that love finds a way through the darkest circumstances. For more captivating stories like this one, we've prepared a special playlist of equally moving narratives. Find it by clicking to your left. If this story moved you, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Every day, we bring you unique stories that explore life's complexity and the resilience of the human spirit. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments section below.